Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, albeit on the road again, but we are here to talk to you, to hang out, talk about anything and everything within the Auburn family spectrum. Always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We'll take you however we can get you. Appreciate you just spending a few minutes of your time just to hang out and talk about what we love about all things Auburn. On this live stream, again, I apologize in advance for the darkness, for the lack of just better production and all that stuff. But this is an on-the-road report as I am currently in Auburn on Georgia weekend. For this live stream, though, I know you guys are revved up, ready for the Georgia game, as you should be. And we might hit some of that. This can almost be like a little bit of a precursor to that. But I wanted to talk about what was unveiled today, the Auburn coaches and we'll just call it Auburn Legends statues. I don't know if they have an official title yet, which were a statue for Coach Pat Dye, Coach Ralph Shook Jordan, and administrator, in some ways maybe an honorary coach, Cliff Hare, the namesakes for Jordan Hare Stadium at Pat Dye Field. It was an amazing experience. I want to talk about what I saw, answer some of your questions that you might have, so get those comments going. I won't be able to take calls or anything like that or bring your comments up, but I will address them as I see them come up. I already see a bunch of people just coming into the stream, dropping comments and questions. Keep those coming. I'll do my best to keep up with them. If you enjoy this type of content, again, I apologize for all of the darkness and stuff like that, but I appreciate those of you that stop in and help support all this stuff. So that you can help us out by smashing that like button. Most of you know the drill. And go ahead and post where you're watching from, whether you're live or on the replay. John Stokes, I saw you popped in there, sir. Thank you so much. A channel supporter and a channel member. Thank you, sir. War Eagle to you on this amazing weekend. Josh says, would love to see a Lutzenkirchen statue one day. Josh, that is a great topic for another day. I have a friend who has some very strong opinions about why that shouldn't happen. And I also... I don't want that to sound like that's a bad thing. There's actually some really good points about that. I think personally, Philip Lutzenkirchen could be honored a different way. It takes a lot for you to get a statue. Regardless, though, I think we'll find someday that Philip will have himself honored in some way here on campus, but there'll probably be some years for that. War Eagle to you as well. Who was that just popped in again? I will have to try to do my best to keep up with these. Rob, good to see you, Rob. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you, sir. So yeah, make sure you share this out on social media, invite your friends in to be part of this live stream. We'll go for just a short amount of time. I want to address what I saw today, maybe answer some of your questions, comments, what you guys thought about it. Miller, good to see you as well. Thanks for being here. War Eagle. Josh, you get the thought process behind it, but it has nothing to do with, I think, what you're thinking about. But yes, that's a big discussion. That's a good one to have someday. John says to retire his jersey, maybe, possibly, yep. Maybe a plaque somewhere inside the recruitment center. I think there's several ways you can do that. I think it's a great topic that we can tackle like on a whole live stream itself, which we obviously want to be sensitive to Philip's family and stuff like that. Anyway, want to give you guys a heads up that we did live stream the whole ceremony, and it is a little, as you guys know, the Wi-Fi here, and I'm sure for this stream as well, is a little bit spotty at times because of everybody trying to use it at the same time. So you can go back on our channel and watch that and hear it to some degree and all that stuff. I know I've already had some feedback. Some people said it's a little bit choppy. In some areas, the audio is not as great in some areas, but I hope that you'll go check it out and maybe get a feel for what we saw and what we experienced there. I've also put pictures up on social media of the statues and all their glory. Look outstanding, and I think they just captured the essence of each of those men in perfect fashion. Pay for the upgrade. Yeah, I appreciate that. Anyway, so basically the gist of it was they had about 8 speakers. I said 8 speakers. They said all were supposed to have about 5 minutes, but I think they knew that wasn't going to go a long time or happen. That actually going to happen. Tim Jackson got up and kind of led the event. Andy Burcham spoke in kind of short manners, just kind of moving us from speaker to speaker and things like that, introducing people. He did a great job of that. Jimmy Rain yellow fella, got up there and said a bunch about all of the people, especially his relationship with Pat Dye. And then what would happen is they would have a particular speaker come up about, let's say, Cliff Hare, for instance. So they had David Housel, because he's Auburn's resident historian and athletic director emeritus, speak on that one. And then they would have a family member come up, say a few words, and unveil the statue. It was really good. Verizon is terrible on game day weekends. It is. It is absolutely. John, who are you saying is very professional? Let me know who you're saying, which one is. Are you talking about Andy? I think that's who you're talking about. Yes, Andy is a very professional guy. So yeah, that's how Cliff Hare went down. Obviously, we honor Cliff Hare, but we don't have a lot of connections now with him. So guys like David Housel, however long we have them, are great for those type of like historians and kind of connecting us back to that. So Cliff Hare's grandson got up there and unveiled the statue and was very kind and awesome representative of that family. For Suge, Terry Henley got up there and told us a lot of stories about Suge and their relationship, and I really felt like I was sitting in a room listening to Terry and Coach Jordan the way he was telling it. So that for me almost kind of was like a really bright spot in this, because I really got a picture of what Coach Jordan was like. I've been up 26 hours, so names are hard. Jeez, 26 hours. It's great to be part of a fan base, Josh says, that has so much tradition, and it's more of a family. Absolutely, and there was all of that going around. Rob says, no Terry Bowden statue. No, and right now that has very little to do with how Terry ended here, but I doubt we will see a Terry Bowden statue. Now, if they were to name a national champion from that era, which they have an argument for, maybe, but probably not going to be seeing a Terry Bowden statue around here anytime soon. I don't even know if you get a plaque on that one. So Terry Henley and Coach Jordan. That's a bad one. Only needed 4 feet of a statue material. Wow. Yeah, he was a short man. A lot of our coaches are short. Gene was short. Tommy was short. Gus was really tall, surprisingly. And you would think, kind of looking, let's just be honest, he had like the nerdy look. You'd think he would be a little bit shorter. But definitely was one of our more taller specimens for coaches and things like that. Anyway, off of that tangent right there, Coach Terry Henley got up there, and the son of Suge Jordan got up and unveiled the statue. Was very good about that. And then, of course, the moment that everybody was just anticipating. Harsin, I think he's about mid-range height-wise. I haven't stood next to him yet to compare, so one day we'll get that figured out, Josh. Coach, I'm blanking here. For Coach Pat Dye, that was the moment everybody was waiting for. Bo Jackson was the speaker, just to kind of set it up. And then obviously his son, Pat Dye Jr., got up and unveiled the statue. And it was a very emotional moment for him, for their family, for the Auburn family. And there were a lot of people, having to pull out handkerchiefs and stuff like that. It was, what I will say, it was almost a very cathartic experience for all involved. And Pat Dye Jr. even said in that moment, we were hoping to have like a public memorial for everybody that wanted to come honor Coach or my father. Obviously weren't able to do that because of the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of one of the losses of that. But he even said, I'm going to say today some of the things that I would have said at that memorial. And it almost felt like we were kind of having that at that moment right then. So very, very good thing for that to happen. And it was very much needed for the Auburn family, especially those that were in attendance. So I hope you'll get a chance to go and watch that on the live stream later if you haven't done that already. John says, I work night shift, get off Friday at 7 a.m. so I stay up so I can sleep tonight and watch. Hey, do it however you got to, man. Everybody's talking about how they get through to game days. So that's kind of how it happened. After that, they kind of closed ceremony. His families went to a special event and kind of did that from there. And I came back later after they had taken down the barriers to get close-up shots of the statues and stuff like that. I'll go into what they look like here in just a second. Josh says that's got to be tear-jerking. Glad Dye Jr. had the opportunity to do it. It was very good. And honestly, because this was almost replacing that experience in that moment he probably should have had at a more moral service, I was surprised how well he kept it together and only had kind of like two, maybe three moments where he really needed to collect himself. It was very, very good. Like, just very much needed. The statues, Coach Cliff Hare, or I guess honorary coach, but administrator Cliff Hare. Obviously, he kind of looks basically the pictures that you see of him, exact replica. They tried to capture something that's the essence of each of those individuals together. So Cliff Hare is holding a cigar box, and that is apparently the cigar box that he used to collect the ticket stubs and the payment for them after each game, and then they would split it up with the opposing opponent. You know, you get one, I get $1, I get $1, all that kind of stuff. So he was in a suit, kind of like you'd expect back in the day, and that was kind of the unique moment. So, you know, outside of that, that's the biggest kind of connection and kind of draw that I took away from the statue for that. Coach Shug Jordan. This is the one that surprised me. And the moment they unveiled it, everybody was in awe and said that it's exactly like him. To me, it looked a little off, just my reaction to it. I got closer. It looks a little bit better. Not that it looked bad, but it looked better to me in terms of what I was expecting. He's wearing what you would call, I guess, the floppy hats, which you've seen Coach doing that in games and stuff like that. Kind of a pullover, like windbreaker jacket. The clothing, for the most part, is what I expected of him, but there wasn't really anything Auburn saying on him. The face was a little broader than I thought, but, you know, it's hard to capture someone's true essence without them really being here or being around in recent times to really get that from a photo and stuff like that. So it still looks great, but it was not what I was expecting. I didn't expect the hat too. I think that's what threw me off. But I think everybody was anticipating the unveiling of Coach Dye's statue, and it's exactly what everybody thought. Dress shirt, tie, and that classic Auburn hat with that AU. And, you know, Coach Dye Jr. Said that they let the families kind of pick what photo they wanted to be captured from. And so they obviously chose one of those. And there are a lot to choose from with Coach Dye. But it was well representative, and I thought the poses that they kind of chose represented their personalities and what they really embodied here while they were at Auburn. You know, I think trying to kind of summarize everything, what was said, and kind of what each person brought here and why their statues and their remembrance is so important. You know, I think Cliff Hare obviously had a hand in bringing us, you know, bringing this to fruition. I think one of the things that was significant about Shug was he gave us our identity, who we are. And I think Pat Dye gave us our spirit in a sense, or our character. And I think that's one of the great things that we kind of all took away from the end of this thing. So those are just kind of some general overview thoughts. I can answer questions that you got. There's a couple of things I can else mention from the ceremony, but I just wanted to kind of give you a brief overview of everything and answer any questions or comments now that you guys might have. Let's see. Coach Jordan looked just like him. The guy doesn't know what he is talking about. Wow. Thanks, Larry. Appreciate that. It's always funny to hear how, like, very blunt some people are on the internet because they don't have to face someone face to face. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I as soon as they pulled it down, it's not, I guess it was really the hat that was thrown off. And I will tell you, and I thought I mentioned this, but everybody in the arena, or not the arena, but the little congregation there, they said, wow, that's him. You know, that was the thing. So that's why I was kind of taken aback in them. I was like, that's not what I was expecting. It's not bad. Looks great, especially up close. But I guess we'll just have a difference of opinion on that, Larry. Yes, John, I wish that everybody could have been there. That's why I tried to live stream these things. And, you know, it just depends on the connectivity of the whole thing sometimes. So you can go watch it on our channel and go check that out if you'd like. Again, I can't promise what the quality of it is, but hopefully it will do justice to what a great event it was. A lot of Georgia representatives here, and that's one thing they tried to draw into this with being Auburn, Georgia weekend. Coach Vince Dooley was there today in attendance, and they called him out in a good way several times, especially with his connection, being an Auburn player, former Auburn player, and then having the choice to stay at Georgia or go to Auburn as the head coach, which resulted in Pat Dye. There's a lot of that discussion. So honestly, that was really, really neat to have that there, because, having Vince here and that connection between Auburn and Georgia and this weekend just made this almost kind of even more special. Also, Coach Gene Stallings was here, and his connection to Pat Dye, obviously with some, I guess a little bit of Shug, not really Shug, but, probably knew him at some point. John says Auburn men showing respect. I mean, that's really what it was about, and they even echoed that to Vince Dooley. Said, we know that you're the head coach and you became a dog, but you're still at your heart an Auburn man. And that doesn't leave you, in a sense, even if you stray away for a little bit. So that was really, really neat. The athletic director, I believe, or former athletic director for Georgia, was in attendance as well. So it was a star-studded cast. All the people that you expected were there. I don't know that Coach Harsin was there, which you would expect him to be with the team getting ready to go to Montgomery, but I thought we might see him. I could not see the full front row celebrities, but it was really good. And it was a great kickoff to Auburn and Georgia weekend. And let me just tell you, it is pumping around here right now. I have not had to fight this hard for parking in quite some time. So let me take a quick sip of this. My throat's dry. But anyway, so that's basically the gist of the statues. Again, if you have any questions or comments you'd like me to address about that or the weekend, you can bring them in now. I won't stay on too much longer, but if you guys have anything you want to address about even Auburn and Georgia weekend, we can do a little bit of that as well. But yeah, it was a great kickoff for this weekend. Did the tour of the locker rooms after that. It was like one of the last ones to get in there. And it's going to be a fun weekend. It feels really, really special with the amount of energy that's on campus and around here right now. Only seen one Georgia fan, like, out in gear, which is really odd. I've seen some people in some very basic red or black shirts, and I think those are Georgia fans. But it's really hard. It's really interesting to figure that out. Uh-oh, someone just got towed away. Sorry, commentary from out here, just watching people get towed away that shouldn't be parked where they are. So hopefully that's not going to be me tonight. Years ago, I got many parking tickets on the campus. It sucks. It does. This lot is open. We know that, but people were taking advantage of it way too early. And so I kind of had to cut a deal with some gentlemen that were already looking for spots, and they helped me out, which was really, really nice. Hope the towaway car was a Georgia fan. Wouldn't that be perfect? Wouldn't that be perfect? Rob says, my favorite memory of Coach Dye was when around 9 or 10 was when I was around 9 or 10 playing flag football at Pat Dye football camp. I was the Steelers team. I believe Coach Casey was my coach. I didn't know that those actually happened. Yeah, so while this was an event to honor Coach Jordan, administrator, or just Auburn man Cliff Hare, this really was, and they, even the Dyes, the family said this, we're trying not to make this strictly about Dye, because the only reason Coach Dye is here because of these two men. But this was a really good thing to have during this time. And I didn't know this, but the Georgia, at the first Georgia game, they honored Coach Dye because he was a Georgia player. He was a dog at one point. So they did like a moment of silence and stuff like that, which is really cool. And so if you can tell already, this week, we've had some Georgia fans, especially those infiltrating comments and stuff on here, getting all riled up because, they could hide behind comments and stuff like that on here. But at our heart, Auburn and Georgia are really still interconnected in many ways, more than we probably care to admit. And that was demonstrated today, why this is the Deep South's oldest rivalry, but it's only so special because of the shared nature, the shared character in some ways, and the shared history, which was really, really cool to see. All right, I'll give you guys a second to get last minute comments and questions, anything really that you'd like to. Make sure you're smashing that like button if you haven't. Check out some of the links. I think they're in the description. They should be there if I get them in there. But if you want to be kind of a channel member, You can do that by hitting the join button. It's easier to go to a desktop to do that because sometimes it's hard to find. Good question about score predictions. I'll get you there in a second. It's hard to find those. And then if you would like to become a Booster Club member, it's like the next step in support. You can find that over at patreon.com/E2C network, E2C network. And you can sign up there for as little as $1. Several of you are here that do that already. Thank you so much. John says mutual respect should be the golden rule off the field. Yeah, I think my rule is this. If I only dish it out because I can take it. So if you're willing to dish it out, just be willing to take it back and have fun with it. Don't get so personal. And so like you should all go check out, I think it was our preview. No, which one was it? There's a video from this week where I had a little bit of fun with a Georgia fan. And if he sees this, it'll be even funnier. They like to act tough when they're not face to face in front of someone, some of them. So have fun with it. Don't make it so personal. There was a comment or a question about score predictions. I will say I'd predicted 23-20 Georgia wins right now. That's kind of how it feels. I think it's going to be a close game. Everybody's not expecting it to be, but I do still expect Georgia to get the win this weekend. But it's not so much of an expectation that if it were to flip the other way, I wouldn't be so shocked that happened. Because anything can happen in that stadium that's not too far off behind me in these special type of games with this feeling this weekend. So a lot of energy on campus. Craziness already going on here with parking and things like that. I hope you all are excited. I'm excited. Stay tuned all throughout this weekend, really mainly tomorrow, on social media. Best way to keep up to date, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook stories, and we'll be sharing some other things on Facebook and Instagram post as we can, but those stories are the biggest ticket there, and to keep up to date. And we'll be hopefully doing a live stream campus tour, hopefully doing a live stream of Tiger Walk, and hopefully doing a Four Corners pep rally all here on YouTube. So please stay tuned. That is obviously subject to connectivity and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you're excited for all of that. Let's see here. I think there were some final comments or questions. John says, after all, it's still a game. We love it and winning, but no reason to be rude. I agree. Again, I love to have fun with opposing fans, and I love to have fun with Auburn fans, sometimes even, a little rousing discussion of things such as quarterbacks and things like that. But when it becomes personal and people hide behind Facebook and YouTube profiles and stuff and say things they'd never say in person to the other people, the person you're talking to, or coaches and players that you're saying things about, that's where I lose a lot of respect. And don't engage that too much, although I will admit that I had fun with that Georgia fan. And I really do hope he sees this, because that was entertaining today. It couldn't answer a simple question, it took him, 5 hours in the day just to simply answer the question, has Kirby Smart beaten UGA yet? Or beaten Nick Saban yet? Couldn't even answer that. All right, enough before I get myself in trouble. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Smash that like button on the way out. Oh, real quick, John, no. I don't ban them unless they're being really a nuisance or a problem. We'll have fun. We'll have fun with it, and kind of enjoy the funness of that. As much as I hate it, they are really good. 20-37 is my prediction. Well, Rob, I hope you're wrong, but I could understand why you're coming from that way. But we'll find out. Stay tuned tomorrow, all throughout the day. Live streaming, posting on social media. It's Auburn versus Georgia week. Let's go beat the Dogs. War Eagle.